and paste so bright, so neat. Folding papers, color sweet. Digital dreams with just one click. Craft along.
Hello, it's Jody from Life by Design, and welcome to today's tutorial. And I'm excited to share with you our new creations in the baby line. And these are our baby carriages, and they are absolutely adorable. So we have two sizes, as you can see, and the large one is great to stick a gift in here. I don't have anything in there right now, but you could even stick a bottle in there, fill up a bottle with candy or money or who knows what else. We've got our little card, and she is absolutely adorable with her little bonnet, and she could either be a card, a gift tag, she could even hold a gift card. But we also have the smaller size, and I put the smaller size in there because I thought this would be great to create favors for a shower event, or even, give a small gift like a gift card for somebody. Maybe you're not even going to a shower, or it could be a gender reveal. So the baby still comes out of this, which is absolutely just super, super cute. So we did two little girl carriages. Oh, and by the way, the wheels move on this one. The other one, I made this a little more secure for specifically to create favors out of this, but you can still make the wheels move on this if you wanted to. But today what we're going to do is make our little boy. So we're going to make a little boy carriage together. I'm excited about that, and we've got lots to do, lots of fun, so let's get started. All right, now let's get started assembling, and you can see here I have our little baby in our carriage as a little sample that I'll put on the side here, and I have everything laid out and ready to go. I have a few extra pieces over here that we're going to add to it. So the only other thing you're going to need for this is a scraper tool for your score lines to bend them, and then your favorite bottle of liquid glue. So I like the art glitter, really like that, and I have a tiny nozzle for the little areas such as the spokes that it'll be able to glue pretty easily. The next thing you're going to need is, if you decide to have your wheels move, if you do, then you're going to need some brads, something like this. And I like to match it where, I used silver here, so I would probably take a silver brad for that, or I did take a silver brad for that. I think for this I'm going to use like a dark blue here. I'll pull a few out so you can see. So we'll need 4 of those. All right. Let's set those aside, and we're going to get started now. I'm going to just push some of this stuff off to the side, and I like a nice clean area so that you can see what is going on here. And the first thing we're going to do is glue this really beautiful blue pattern onto our baby carriage. As you can see, when you printed it, it was like this, and that's so that these fit properly. So I would just, before you start gluing anything down, make sure you match this up so that it does fit. It should fit right into that corner or both corners. It's almost symmetrical, but not quite. So if this looks good right here, that way we're going to put it together, and you'll know that you have a pattern on both sides. So I'm just going to glue right on the edges. You can see when I'm putting the glue down, I mean, this is pretty decently thick paper, but I'm really doing, it looks like dots and dashes. So I'm not going super thick on this because I don't want it to curl up or anything. All right, so I'm going to turn this over and line that up right in that corner, and then make sure it's flush to the other corner, and that's so that you can't see it on the back. It should fit perfect, okay? So we'll set that one aside. Let's get this one going. Once again, I'm going to outline it, and I like to get pretty close to the edges because the edges are what really will make or break something over time. If your edges are nice and glued or stuck together, then you're going to have less coming apart and less friction going on. Okay, I just want to make sure that I don't see it on the other side. So this is perfect. We can put these aside. Well, actually what we're gonna do next is lay this down. Now, it has some creases, and this is really so that you can match up where this little piece goes. And this is supposed to be like the metal frame that you have on some of the baby carriages. So you can see it's not fitting properly. So I need to flip this over. All right, so that's just really helps you know where it goes. Now, if you don't want this and you do want to fold it, by all means, you can fold it as well. So we're gonna have to do two things: line this up with there, and then make sure that we're lining it correctly against this, okay? So this one should fit this way, and you can see when the backing, the hood, is put on wrong, it's not gonna fit, all right? So just know that if you like it like that, it actually kind of looks cute there, but it's supposed to go this way. So just keep that in mind. It should fit perfectly. So before I put this one on, I'm going to glue that down. So let me flip this over, add a little glue. With this fine tip on this glue, it will really work nicely. So I'm going to flip this over, and if you have the tweezers, this will help you hold it and put it into place. So I'm going to line this up at the bottom. If I line one up properly, the rest should fall right into place. And with the liquid glue, you have a little bit of time to wiggle it around and move it over, and then just get rid of any glue in the corner. Okay. So this will be ready to go on there. Let me put the other one on, and I'm going to show you another option. So before I do this, I'm going to make sure that this is lining up inside the score lines. And this time what I'm going to do is add glue to the score lines. And I feel that this is an easier way to do this, as long as you can see, and you probably can't see in the camera, but I'm just going to lay that glue right on that score line. And it's very fine, but it's going to give me this opportunity to just lay that in the corner and plop that down. And that was a little bit easier, I feel like, than the other one, because it's hard to hold this. It's so thin, it's very difficult to hold it while it has glue on it. Now, if you have a sharp object, this is actually a cutting tool for clay. I love this, and I use it just to get out some of the glue in these little areas. All right, now it's all ready to go right into that corner. So I'm lining this up right the curve at the end, and it should go flush against the paper, the designed paper. Okay, let's put this other one on. Now, when I glue something like this, I really just like to hold it in my hand. That way I don't have to fiddle trying to pick it up, but I was really just putting it down for your sake so that you could see it a little bit better. Okay, it fits in there just like a puzzle. So we have these two pieces ready to go. We're going to set them aside. Actually, before we set them aside, this is the second time I've said that, we're going to put the lace on. I'm going to fit that right under, and I'm going to put it a little bit lower because we are going to have a little strap of the dark blue going through there as well. You can put it all the way to the top, but I like a little bit of the blue kind of showing through to give it a rim. So let's put this one on first. And I'm just going to put a little circle around each area and then just a line around the edges. So I'm going to match up one side, and it should fit because it is curved properly, and you're going to have a little bit of the lace sticking out on the edge. Don't worry about that. Okay, and then it should fit perfectly. Now, if you look really close at the way these are formed, they are angled, and that's because the carriage bottom does go out. So I have it angled literally to fit perfectly. So if you look for the proper angle, it should angle in at the top and out on the bottom. All right, so let's add glue to this, or we could try once again just adding a strip of glue where you want it on here, just as long as you have a steady hand to get that straight, and that way you can just know exactly where it's going to go, and it fits perfect. All right, and I really love how it's pulling the dark colors from here. Let's do this side. I'm just going to first make sure that it fits, and it should fit either way. Either way it's flipped. I'm going to just hold this real quick, line it up on the edge, and again the lace will come out. It's meant to do that. Okay, I'm going to put a little strip of glue on here. I'm going to grab this and make sure that the edge is pointed out on the bottom. And I'll line that up. And because I'm using liquid glue, I did lay it down, but it still gives it that time to dry. That gives it that wiggle room to move things around. So here we go. This is ready to go. Now we can work on the wheels and the body. So to get the body in place, that's where you're going to have these two pieces. This is the carriage cover, so you can see where it will go here. And then this is the underneath. All right, so there are score lines in this to help you fold it. And this is where you're going to need your scraper. So the first fold line you have are the ends. And what we're going to do is just take all the fold lines and just give it a nice good scrape. And I actually used poster board for this because it really is sturdy. If you're going to put like a sturdy gift in it, it will hold a lot. All right, so what this is going to do, you can see how the cut teeth in here allows you to curve this and glue it together. So that's the design of it. Now these edges, what we're going to do is fold them down, and this is so that when it's sticking up, when you have the edge over on the corner there, it's going to really give it reinforcement so that, you know, it's going to be hit a lot, whether it's by the gift you put in there or somebody pulling things in and out. And you don't want to just leave an edge like this because it will get bent. But by having it folded, it really reinforces it. So whenever you do your designs, always add that little extra tab to fold down for that reinforcement. Because this is poster board, it has like a little slippery outside waxy feel to it. So I'm just going to take a second to hold that down. I'm going to do the same on this side, gluing that edge in there. We're just going to hold that down. All right, so for this, what we're going to do is put one of these on here, and I'm just going to first get it started. So I'll just do maybe about like 2 or 3 teeth, and just to glue it onto the edge so that we get it started, and then I can add glue to the rest and then slowly go around. But I want to secure this so that I have it in the right spot that I want it and that it's not going to wiggle around. So I'm just putting some glue on 3 of the teeth, and I'm going to line it up here, right on that edge, okay? So I'm just holding it in place and making sure that it's flush. Now, if you really want to work with it, you can lay it flat. You'll get a lot more push to it and use some gravity there. Okay, now for the rest of these, I'm going to flip this over first and then I'll lay it down. So I'm going to hold this back so I could get all the glue on it. Once I get the glue on it, I'm just going to do a one and done rather than trying to do this piece by piece. So I'm putting glue on all of the teeth. And this is already holding pretty secure, so I'm not worried about it coming apart. Let me flip this over and then I'll talk a little bit more. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have this up in the air and I'm just going to slowly lay these down. And with this left hand of mine, with my left hand, I'm going to hold the outside and keep it flush, and the right hand I'm going to press down and curve it all the while I'm doing this. So I have a couple down, then I'm going to put a couple more down and a couple more down, and I'm making sure that it's flush. Okay. All right, so it feels good, it's flush, and it's looking good. So you could see that it's really flush all the way around and curved. Okay. Now you could cut an extra piece if you don't like the way it looks. You could cut an extra base and then put it inside to secure it. It's not necessary, but it depends if you want it thicker, you want it to last longer. Then that's an option, and it gives it a nicer look. Okay, let's do the next side. Once again, I'm going to just start with the 3 teeth, getting it secure, and then I'll do the rest. I'll actually do 4. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over. I'm looking at where I placed them. I just want to get these nice and secure and flush. And then once I have that in place, the others will pretty much fall right into place. So now that that's secure, I'm just going to add glue to the other teeth. So that's where the long, fine nozzle comes into play, because I can really stick this inside of those little cracks and crevices. So I'm going to put this down. So I'm getting it where I can see it on this side. Then I'm going to flip it over. Make sure it stays lined up, and that way I can rub my fingers over the teeth underneath and make sure that it's nice and flush. Okay. And if you can see any cracks and crevices, you can always come back in and right on that edge, because I always say that the edges are important in long-term stability. So you can always come back in here and add a little with your fine tip glue. If you do not have a fine tip glue, that's okay. There's other ways that you can do the same thing that I'm doing with these little intricate areas. You don't have to go out and spend a fortune. You can just use some toothpicks, and you just put a glob on a piece of paper and then dip it in there. It takes longer, but it is another option. Some of these glues can start to get expensive. So, but in the end, the type of glue you use will really make a difference on how easily and quickly things stick, how it dries, and how it looks in the end. So there's a number of glues out there. I don't endorse any of them specifically, but I do like this art glitter glue. All right, now for the top, this is really nice. It's nice and sturdy. It rocks back and forth. You don't even really need wheels. You can use this as a little rocker, and it's super adorable that way. But to do this, we're going to do this the same exact way. There's only one difference in this, okay? And I'll show you what that is in just a second, but we want to fold everything to start with. All right, now I'm just bending this one a little bit. I'm not going to totally fold it, and that's because whichever side goes up, that piece you're going to totally glue down so that the edge is nice and sturdy. This other tab is going to glue and attach back here. So I'm going to glue this and just slip it in and attach it to here, okay? And that's going to really guide where you put the teeth, and the rest of the teeth you can glue and then just curve it around, okay? So first thing is gluing this little lip down, just like we did on the last one. And we're gonna just have to hold this for a second. All right, now that I have this all bent and ready to go, what I'm gonna do is just glue a little bit of glue on this tab here, and this is going to line up inside. And then just give it a second to hold it. So you really do want it secure before you start moving things around. You can lay it down like this, and then you'll have nice gravity and be able to stick your fingers right in there and hold it all down. Okay, all right, so this is ready to go. What I'm going to do is first bend this back, and then I'm going to just do one side at a time, because if you feel daring, you can do both, but it can be messy, and I really want this to curve properly. So let me just get my little teeth glued. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in and curve it. And it's basically what I'm trying to do is put this not flush. It's going to go lower than the scallop that you see here, okay? You don't want it really sticking out, but you want this to come to the end. All right, so I'm first lining up the end with the end here. Let me get this all inside. Oh. Okay, and then if I look at it underneath, you can see the scallop, and this is lower than the scallop. That way, you're not going to see white poking through in between the little curves of the hood here. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this down for a second. All right, so we're basically repeating this, and I'm putting glue on all the teeth here, and this should be easier because it's already in place. So I'm first going to line it up there. Once it's lined up, I'm going to flip this over and just make sure that it's curving so that it gets a nice curve to this. So it has a beautiful curve to it when you look at it from the outside, and it looks great. Now, here we go with the next step. The wheels are going to take a minute, so let's put our bow together. So there's two pieces to your bow. This is the bottom piece, and it's going to go face up. And you notice that I'm using paper that has a pattern on one side. So when you're creating your bow, and here's a sample of it here, what you want to do is this piece is going to sit up, but this piece is going to curve. So if I have this laying up, it's going to end up curving and showing the white. So you want to flip this over when it's being curved, all right? So before I start doing this, I'm going to just curve these, get a little bend in it. And you can do this a number of ways. You can use your scraper tool or a scraper tool. You can take something round and then just curl it around like this. Whatever works. You could even just use your fingers and then just kind of bend it and kind of like pull and bend it. Okay, that's what paper is meant to bend. All right, so here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on all 4 little tabs here, and then we will glue this down one at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to give this a second, and then we're going to take this last piece and it's just going to fold around it. Okay, this is going to be like the ribbon wrapping it. All right, so we're going to add glue to this, but first I'm going to put the fold in there so that I know where it should fold. And then as I'm holding this, I'm going to add just glue right to this little tab here, and I'm folding it down, flipping it over, and folding it again. I just want to hold it a minute, okay? So then it's going to be glued onto here, and isn't that beautiful? These look like butterflies. Really love this pattern. So I'm just going to add the glue to this bottom area. Then after you add the glue, then just lay this right on top, wherever you want that, and hold that down. Okay, so we're going to set this aside and let it dry for a minute, and then later we're going to put this right on one side. If you want to print 2 out and you like it on both sides, by all means you can put it on both sides. Okay, so let's let this settle for a minute and let the glue settle, and we'll start on our wheels. Now you're probably wondering why there are so many wheels, and it's because first of all, we need it sturdy enough to hold this up. This is standing on the wheels. Now, again, these wheels are movable. These are stationary. It's totally up to you if you want them stationary or not. I'll show you how to make the wheels turn, and the rest is up to you what you want to do. So in order to make it sturdy, we're going to glue together 3 wheels each, okay? So I'm going to lay these in piles of 3, and I will spare you watching me glue them all together. I will glue 1 together. Now on top of that, you're going to get a beautiful little dark blue design. If you're not going to make the wheels turn, and you can put the extra piece that came out of here. Okay, this was cut out together, and I saved them, and I put that behind here, and I did that on the stationary wheels, and I really like that because I felt like the gold popped out where it kind of like pulled all the gold together in that. Okay, so this would really pull the dark blue out together and kind of balance it out. You don't have to do that, and I'm not going to do it in this situation. If you are using the brad to make your wheels turn, then you're not going to be able to use this. So we're also going to need a few other pieces. We have these little guys here, and I'll show you what these do in a minute. I'm just going to set them aside. And one of the other things that we did not talk about are the little handles. Okay, so your handles will go on the outside. I'll put that on in a minute. All right, so first things first here, what we're going to do is take 3 of these and glue them together. And you can see if you turn them around a little bit as I'm doing this, it looks like you've got some crazy spiral. If you like it like that, leave it. But just by turning this, you will get them to be flush and properly sit. You just have to kind of find that right dynamic. All right, so I'm going to leave this laying down. Let me push all that to the side. We'll do one. And I'm just going to glue this around, glue all the spokes, and you can just put dots if it's globbing out too much. But I do want to get those edges, all right? So what I'm going to do is just pop one right on top, and before I do that, I'm just going to line it up and make sure it looks good. And if it's not perfect, you have that little wiggle room with the liquid glue to kind of wiggle it back and forth to get it right. So I'm going to do this once again. You can see I'm really putting a lot of glue on this outside because it needs to be sturdy to hold up everything. So another option would be, if you're making a lot of these, for instance, if you're using the small one, then you can push these up so that it really sits on the bottom and you just have the display of the wheels. And that might be easier for you than worrying about, is it going to hold the weight? Okay. So once I have them together, then I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to take the center spoke and then the little rim, trim, whatever you want to call it. And you can do this a number of ways, but I'm going to put the glue on here because I think that will be easier. And usually if I couldn't find my jewel pick, but if I have a jewel pick, I would pick this up and just pop that in there because it will fit right in the center. You're not going to have a lot of color. Okay. For this one, I'm going to do it the right way and put the glue on the rim just for the sake of showing you. But since I've done this, I already know that it goes in the middle of the tire. And I'm just going to center this, and it literally will go smack in the center evenly with that. So as even as you can get it. And there we go. And this is going to look really beautiful when we get that on there. Okay, look at how it kind of pulls the dark and balances that dark from the top and the bottom and pulls it all together. So we have a little splash, some pizzazz, a little pop. Okay, so let me finish up these other wheels and I'll be back in a flash. All right, so we are back and I do have all the 4 wheels put together. And just to show you what it would look like if you had that piece that came from the inside of that rim and you put it behind here, really does look beautiful. It just makes it pop and I love that as well. So, but if you're going to have it turn, we're going to leave that off. So we have a couple of pieces here, and this is basically the bottom bar that goes and attaches to the wheels. So I'll show you really what it's going to look like on the wheels that turn. This is where we need our brad, and our brad is going to fit inside both pieces. So you have 8 strips of paper cut out with a hole on each side, and these will act as the bar to hold the wheels. Now, what you're going to do is glue 3 or 4 of the strips of paper together by lining up the holes. Just stack them on top of each other and try not to clog up the holes with glue. The purpose of this is to make the bar stronger because just one strip of paper alone can be quite flimsy and won't hold the weight of the wheels. It actually needs to be strong enough to hold the carriage off the ground and support the wheels. So glue enough of the strips of paper together that will give you the strength that you need for the weight of the gift or whatever you plan to put in the carriage. You can see I said don't clog the hole, and that's exactly what I did. But we could just like poke that through. Okay, now once the strips of paper are glued together, we're going to add the brads. Okay, so I'm going to grab these little brads, and if you've never used a brad before, we used to have these when we were younger, and it was to hold paper together, and it would fit in a hole, and it basically has 2 spikes. Some of them are flat heads, some of them are round heads, and then you just separate the teeth, okay, and then it splits apart like that. Okay, so that's what's going to hold these together. So as I take one of these, I'm going to put my wheel in there, and then I'm going to fit the teeth inside of here, and then I'm going to split it apart. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this. I'll try and zoom in, and then it should be loose enough where the wheel can turn, but it should be tight enough that it will hold it. Okay, so when we glue this down, we're going to glue everything here. So that's why you want this sturdy, because it's just the pole that's going to glue down, this bar at the bottom. Okay, and then the wheel, even though it's going to hold it up, that's going to just be able to still turn. So let's get our other brads and let's put our next one on. And to do this easily, I like to separate the teeth first, because once it's in there, if you're trying to fiddle around and struggle with the teeth, it can be a pain in the neck. And some brads are really difficult to split. This one seems rather easy. It actually seems like it's going to break off, to be honest. I'm actually a little concerned about that, but here we go. Let's get our next wheel and then put this in. And notice I'm positioning the brad's teeth so that they split along the bar, because you don't want it laying down and seeing it outside of the bar. So if I put it up and down, you may see the little brad's spikes, the teeth coming out of the spoke there. Okay, so isn't that so pretty? Love that. Love, 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 love that. Okay, now if you did decide to do this, make it stationary, and you put that on, or even made it like this, you don't have to have a bar. And you can also, instead, if you don't like that hole, you could put a nice little jewel right in the middle of it and add some little sparkle and pizzazz, and that could be another way to get it to look really nice and making it a little more stationary. I do really like that backing. It just gives it dimension, but we're gonna keep that off for now. Next one will do it. Okay, so let me open up these teeth, get them on, and I'll put this together, and we'll be back in a minute to assemble it onto the carriage. All right, so we're ready to attach this, and once again we're going to only glue the bar. Now before I do that, you have two options. The first option is to set the wheels so that the bottom of the carriage will hold all the weight. In this case, the wheels will be much higher, but if you like the way it looks, that can be an option. I like the wheels to be lower and look more natural, but this could create a problem. So I want to make sure that I put the wheels and the bar in the place that will make the carriage balanced, and I need to be able to find the same spot on the other side so that the carriage doesn't tilt or sit crooked. So here is what we're going to do. Let me turn the wheels over so that you can see the back of the bar. It'll be easier to see the placement. Now, you want the bar to sit in between the two sides of the curve of the bottom of the carriage so that the bar will be flush on both sides. This way you can find the same spot on the other side and make the wheels balanced. Let me grab my glue. I'm going to glue both the bar and the brad's little teeth. So I tried to get them as flat as I can. That way the wheel will turn, but the brad should stay in place. Okay, so I'm going to get this as close as I can, and it's touching edge to edge. I'm just going to hold it in place for a minute. Now I'm testing it lightly so that I can make sure that it is going to not be lopsided. Okay, so there we go, and I'm going to let that sit and turn this over. We're going to do the same. Okay, this is good, and what I'm looking for is that all four wheels are touching the glass here. It's not wobbly at all, and that's really what we're looking for. So take your time assembling the wheels, and doesn't that look so cute? Love, 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 love this. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is put the bow on. So I mean, you could put the bow so many different places. I like it right under here. And that's because sometimes these stick up and hide the baby's face. So over here, I think it's the best area to put it. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. I'm leaving the edges untouched on here because it gives it that little dimension. So it's not so flat. It'll like pop up a little bit. All right, so, all right, now we have our bow, we have our decoration, we've got our wheels. We need to put our little handle on, so I'm just going to glue the tip of that. You could kind of see it little curve where it bends, and I'm just going to put that on here on the end, and it should kind of like curve out slightly, okay? I'll do the same on the other side. All right, we're going to change gears now and put together our little baby that's going to go into our carriage. Now, again, this can be used as a gift tag, write a little message, a to and from, or a card, or the baby can even hold a gift card in there. You can either glue it to the carriage just as a little decoration, or again, it could be left open to come in and out. So we're going to set this aside and we're going to focus on the actual baby. And you can see that I have 3 that are already done here. And the boy, you can either put his little hair sticking up or down, and then the girl, you can add a bonnet too. So we're going to put together the boy, and I also have, so here's our boy. We're going to put this one together, and I have here the girl that she's already put together, and I gave her a pretty flowered outfit. And what we'll do is just put the bonnet on her so you can see how the bonnet gets put together. So we're going to set her aside a minute. All of these little items here are for the little boy, all right? So we are going to start with actually putting the face together. Now, what you probably noticed is that with the outfit and the face, there's a little shading that was done. Now, this was done with just using a little ink and some brushes. So just taking a little pink and then brushing it on the face, or using some sponges with some inks or dyes or whatever. You can just dab it in there and come around here, or you could do some swirls for a larger shadow, okay? So that's one of the ways that you can shade some of your designs to make it a little more professional looking and give it a little pizzazz. All right, the first thing we have, we're going to focus on putting together the face. So when I originally did this design, I had eyes that were glued on this, but as a designer, what I try to do is make this as simple and easy to put together as possible. So instead of fiddling with the really small pieces, I wanted you to be able to just plop these on top of each other and get that same effect, okay? Because it has 3 layers, it gives it more of a substantial hold. So what we're going to do with this is very simple. The first thing you want to do is make sure these all line up. If you can see pieces poking through and the eyes just look crooked, then they are not on the right side. So first make sure they're fitting together. So you want to fit this chin together and make sure it's rounded because it isn't completely symmetrical. All right, next thing, once you have it in place, you want to start gluing some of the items together. All right, so here I'm going to flip this over so that I can make sure that I am putting this on correctly. So the first thing is I'm going to glue the black onto the white. So what I'm going to do is take my liquid glue, and this is the only thing we're going to need extra for this, and then I'm just going to outline this. Let me lay this down so you can see. Now remember, I did turn this over. Make sure you get a nice outline on that, and then we can flip this over and line up that chin. You want to get it to where there's no white showing through the front and no black showing through the back. It should fit perfect, okay? All right, the next thing, I want to make sure that I did flip this over. So I did flip it over, but I'm just going to do a double check just to make sure, because sometimes I get forgetful. So it is fitting right this way, and I'm putting it with the mouth kind of up on the left side. All right, so you could kind of remember it. That's the way I really designed it. However, you can put it the opposite way as this one. It will fit together. You're just gonna have to flip all of them. All right, so let's set that aside. I'm gonna flip this over once again. I'm gonna outline it and glue. All right, once the glue is on, I'm going to once again line up the chin, and then it should all fall right into place. Okay, you want to make sure that the eyes are really fitting right. So with the liquid glue, it's giving enough wiggle room that I can move it around. Now, if you have black that is a little shown through here, that's okay, because what it's going to do is look like a shadow, and it's going to really emphasize the face and make it pop out a little bit more when it sits on the base. Now, before I actually put it onto the base, I want to line up the outfit, the little onesie. Once again, this does fit a certain way, so you want to just, before you do anything, come in here and make sure the outfit is fitting right on the baby. All right, and then so what I'm going to do is I'm making sure it fits, and then I'm going to line up the face so that I know that all of it fits properly together. So once again, I'm going to add liquid glue onto the back of this, always getting that outlining at first and getting close to the edge so that it stays more secure. So if you get that edge, it's going to last longer. All right, now I'm going to put the face on, so the face will fit perfect, and then we're good to go here. So this one's easy, where I'm just going to flip this over and just add glue to all of this white area. I'm going to fit this chin right into that angle there, and then fits perfect. Okay, like a glove. What I like about this is the face is protruded just a little bit so that it stands out, and it really looks cute that way. All right, now we have these little small pieces. So we have 2 extra legs here, because if you have it like this, it could look like, if you didn't see the face, this definitely could look like the butt, and then the feet are in the front. We want it to look like a onesie, so that's why we're putting the extra legs on. Again, these pieces are optional, but they shouldn't be, because that looks so much more natural. All right, so let's glue on the legs. And 1 foot. I'm gonna add glue to the other leg. It's easier holding these in my fingers and then just gluing it that way. That way I don't have to try and lift this up and get glue all over my area. All right, now we have a few little small items, but before we do that, let's flip this over and let's put his outfit on the back. So once again, I'm just going to make sure it fits, and then flip this over, add the glue. All right, so you can see the back will look like the little butt down here, and the front, because we put the feet on, it looks a little bit more like a onesie. So I'm gonna put his hair sticking up like a water fountain, because I just think that's super, super cute. But you can put it down like I did with the little girl, and it looks fine as a boy. I mean, she's obviously wearing a little flowered outfit, but you could put the boy's little spout laying down as well. Now, if you wanted to make this a girl, then you can put the bow in the hair like that rather than doing a bonnet. So that's another option. Or you could put this on him, which I think I'm going to do, and just make a little bow tie here. Okay, that way it's going to match the dark colors in here, and I think it'll look super cute. I'm going to put it kind of high up. It's going to cover his chin a little bit, but that's okay. All right, So I'm just going to add a little glue to this, but I'm not going to glue the top area because that's where it's going to go over his chin. I'm just going to glue this bottom area. And it kind of looks like a necktie. Now I could cut off the little pieces there, or I could cut off down here and make it really look like a bow tie if you wanted to. Make it look more like a bow. All right, so he's almost done. I just want to put some of these little ear things on the side to give it some shadow. So I'm just going to put a little dot on each and then pick this up and pop that right on there. If you have a jewel picker, that will be a little easier to get these, pick these up. All right, so our little boy is done. Now we're going to focus on the girl's bonnet. All right, so let's set him aside. He is super cute, and I'm going to trade this one out. I'm going to put him in because he's going to look super cute with this. Stick that in there. So let's set that aside. I'm going to actually put it off the screen here. And we're going to focus on the bonnet. So there's a few items to the bonnet, and once again, you do have a bow. So if you don't want to deal with the bonnet, and for instance, you're making a lot of these as a favor, especially like, you know, small carriages, or we do have our lollipops. So if you're making favors like that, you don't want to deal with all the extra paper and mess that it takes for the bonnet. You can just put the little bow in the hair so you know the difference between the girl and the boy. The boy can have a bow tie, the girl can have a little bow. Boom, you're done and move on. Okay, a lot easier. All right, so to put this bonnet together, super easy. We're going to start with putting the lace on the front of this. Now, the way it goes together is you're going to glue these two pieces. This is going to go on the front of the baby, and the bonnet will be glued to the back. I did shade this, so I'm going to turn it over so that when you see the back, the shading will show up, okay? So that's how it's going to go on. Now let's put it together, and we're going to focus on first making sure I have this on the right side because the strings are slightly different, okay? And I'm going to flip this over, add the glue to this, and I'm really just going to do an outline of this, okay? I'm not going to go crazy adding glue, and I'm just going to put like a circle around each. And when I put this together, I'm going to focus on putting the strings together first. So I'm going to get one string lined up, I'm going to get the other string lined up, and if both of your strings are lined up, the rest is going to fall into place and look perfect. And I did shade this area on the outside to kind of emphasize, because white can kind of blend in. So this is going to get glued onto her top of her head and partly onto the backing. But before I actually put that on, let's focus on getting the back. So again, once again, I shaded this, so I'm going to turn it over. And this is where the glue is going to go. So that will flip and lay nicely on a little bit lower, but you want it enough to where the ears are covered in the back and it's going to sit up higher than this lace area, okay? Because you want some of the bonnet sticking up, all right? Let me turn that back over. Let me add some glue, this time to the baby's face. And I'm just going to go right across here, add it to the ears. Now, before I sit it in stone, I'm going to flip this over. So I'm going to kind of like lay it down, but I want it even. All right. Once we have the bonnet on, now we're ready to add the front lace, okay? So I'm going to glue this whole thing, and it's going to cover her ears. Now, before we do this, we want to make sure we get it somewhat on the head and then covering the ears. So let's just add our glue on. All right, so before I actually lay this down, I'm going to kind of eye this up and just make sure the ears are covered. And then it's not crooked because I want the strings to be straight. So let me turn it a little bit. Okay, and that looks good. So I'm going to lay it down. All right, now With the flower, we have 3 pieces. Now you can see I inked the edges of these because it is the same paper. I don't want it to like blend too much. So before I put this together, I want to show you what I'm going to do. And then we're going to kind of bend the paper a little bit. So the top layer, the point of the flower is going to go in between the 2 petals on the bottom. So these, again, they're even, so it will fit on each one. So again, the top petal goes in between the lower petals. And if you do it on one, it will fit that way with all of them. All right. Now, the next thing what we're going to do, what we're going to start with is we're going to just start by bending these petals up. You don't need any special tools to do this. You can use your fingers, or you can use your little scraper tool or a bone folder. Here's my scraper tool that I used earlier. For this, I like to use the bone folder because it's a little smaller. This is meant for scoring and for scraping, okay? And all I'm going to do is take this between the paper and my thumb, and I'm just going to roll it back, okay? Sort of as if you're familiar with rolling ribbon, paper ribbon, where you can make curls with that. So that's all we're doing, and I'm just, again, rolling it around my finger. You can do this super fast. I'm taking my time and doing it a little slower this time. What it's going to do is curl the paper, and it's going to give it a little more 3D look. Once again, I'm folding each of these up so that you can see it cups up, and then I'm taking my bone folder and I'm just rolling it back. All right, so we have them all bent and curled, and we're ready to glue them together. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put some glue in the middle of here, and I'm going to take the top piece so you can see how they go from largest to smallest. I'm going to take the middle one that's a little bit larger. So I'm going to position one of these petals in between the 2 bottom petals. So and then I'm just going to lay it down there and smush it together. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. I'm going to add some glue to the center. I'm going to take one of these, the top one, and I'm going to position it between 2 of the one directly lower, and then pop that together. Now, for the center, I found this little yellow flower that I had from a different SVG, and I actually like that in there, so I think that's what I'm going to do for this. But normally the design actually has the circle in there, and you can stamp it and put something else, but I'm sorry I lost that. So I'm going to just lay that little center piece in there, and we can put that on there. Now, once again, putting a bonnet together is not difficult. If you're doing a lot of these and you don't want to take the time to put the flower together, but you like the bonnet, you can always put a little bow on there. So for this, I'm going to put the ribbon right here. So let me add a little glue to this. And I want the bottoms to stick up a little bit, so I'm not going to put any too close to the bottom. And there we have the ribbon, we have a flower, and we're going to set aside our flower for a later time. All right, so that is it for today. We have our large and our small carriages for different gifts or party favors. We have our babies that could go inside the carriage, and tune in next time when I show you how to put together our lollipop designs that also go with the same theme, and you can even put the lollipops inside the carriages for an all-around great party favors for your next shower. And I hope you enjoyed putting this together with me, learned something new, and had fun making this. See you next time. Bye-bye, bye-bye.